Hey everybody, welcome back to the Uncle Project Podcast. It's your host, Mr. T, and this is where I, as a content creator, document my journey along different projects that I'm working on, all the different successes, failures, and everything in between. And on today's episode, we're going to get into a deep dive of my artwork. So how I really got started with my artwork, getting started with artwork for my blog, and kind of how that's influencing my approach to artwork for my podcast. Also going to be getting into a whole art metaverse, talking about the wax NFT community. I'm going to be talking about a lot about the wax community here on today's episode as well. So lots of good stuff on this episode, especially if you're a big NFT crypto guy. So this episode is powered by the Lightning Network and the One Up Tribe on the Hive blockchain. So I'm going to be leaving some really good links down in the show notes. Be sure to check those out. Listen to the end of this episode. A lot of really good stuff in this episode. But quick word from our sponsor, Anchor, and we'll get right into it. What's up, everybody? All right, so I've been getting a lot more focused on my art. So just as far as the art, well, really, it started back whenever I was doing more blogging. I had really had a point to where I was getting focused on like my thumbnails, and that was my big thing, was getting started, making sure my thumbnails looked good, and that really got me started with Canva, and just adding that as a piece of my creative process for my blogs. I noticed that it actually made a difference, even though I wouldn't change too much about the content that I was writing. Just changing my thumbnails, I got way more interaction, and like on Hive we go by upvotes, and like way more upvotes, and engagement overall. So just kind of learning that, just kind of taught me, that experience taught me that, the visuals are important, and art is definitely super important. And I kind of got to be an artist myself for my own blog posts, and do different banners. Some of the banners at my bottom of my posts, the main one, I made that one. I do my thumbnails, like my profile background, I made that myself, and I actually need to edit that. So that's the same for both on Hive and on Twitter. And I've come to the realization pretty quickly here that visuals might be a pretty important thing, even for podcasting. Before I kind of picked the show back up recently, I hadn't really podcast in about a year, but I had like some cover art for the podcast, or show art for the podcast, and I recently updated that just to make it more interesting than the first um, you know, show art for the Uncle Project. And it's seemed to work so far. Like, just in the couple of episodes that I've made since making changes to the show art, I've gotten a boom in listeners, which has been pretty shocking. I really didn't think that I'd get as many listens on my episodes as I have been. And it's not like I've been, I don't know. It's just, it's not like I'm getting like a ton of listeners or anything. I'm not like famous or anything, but I just really didn't think I would get the listeners that I've gotten so far. And, I'm really thankful for it. I appreciate you all supporting the Uncle Project. But yeah, so just with the artwork, so there's the show art, and like I talked about earlier with blogging, I focused on thumbnails. So with podcasting, it does give me an option to do like alternate show art for a particular episode. But I also feel like, as far as like thumbnails, man, I really feel like attacking Pinterest pins might be the way to go, in place of what I was doing for my thumbnails with my blog post, just to give me something that I can make unique for the episodes, and it'll give me options to kind of play around and hopefully do like some of the Web3 stuff as well, maybe for like a particular type of episode or a particular series. I can do like promotional NFT pins or something, things like that. Nothing crazy expensive, just artwork that's a piece of the show that I'd be able to share with supporters of the show. I really appreciate you all, and just making some really dope art, something that you all would be able to have and hold, I think would be pretty cool. I'd probably, no probably to it. Probably, I'd do it on wax. I definitely am growing a bit of a wax addiction here lately. If you don't know what wax is, it's like a NFT based blockchain platform. So it's just like a metaverse of NFTs, and just different information about the NFTs, just the different data about the NFTs that kind of helps different programs know what to do with NFTs, how rare it may be, what its name, the artist that made it, if there's any commissions that need to be paid out or anything like that. But yeah, so Wax, blockchain platform, metaverse of NFTs, the information about them, and yeah, just the blockchain keeps track of what keys hold what assets, what keys or what accounts, I should say, interact with different, different marketplaces and different dApps, things like that. And yeah, you know, I feel like a lot of people, well, the folks listening to this show would have an understanding of that already. But, I've been doing like a pretty good deep dive into the wax community lately. And it's actually a really sick community. I don't know if it's like this every week, but last week they had like a Twitter space almost every day of the week, which is pretty sick. Like they actually come together and it wasn't just to talk about like a lot of like crypto or Web3 stuff. Like they were talking like just mental health, just everyday life stuff, which was really cool to see. But yeah, just finding the wax community took me a little bit, but I think I've got it down now. So they don't have like too many like hashtags or anything, or at least that I've noticed. I've only noticed like the Wax P, Wax Fam, just for the supporters. The Wax Wednesday, it's kind of like a weekly holiday, which is pretty cool. And that's the day where I've noticed like the most Twitter spaces and conversations and things like that. It's actually pretty cool. But that and like the Wax Creators tag, just different ways of helping you find the wax community. I think there's definitely a trend of wax being really big on YouTube and like micro blogging platforms like Twitter. Twitter is my main place where I kind of interact with the wax community. I actually won some pretty sick NFTs from like some pretty top-notch artists and just really cool people in the wax community. Kind of like earlier where I was talking about them doing like the mental health talks last week in their spaces. One of the artists, Snazzy, was, I think they were actually like heading that talk. And I actually won a NFT by that artist that I have in my collection, which is actually cool. Like just collecting cool NFTs from, NFTs from cool people, it just makes the NFT like even more sick, and in my opinion makes it like a cooler NFT. But yeah, so really big on like micro blogging platforms, Twitter for sure. That's my favorite place to find wax folks. Yeah, the cool thing is when I was first getting into it, I didn't see how to like have any type of impact in that community without being an artist. But the more I dig into it, like, yeah, like you really don't have to be an artist to have impact within the wax community. Like that, like the metaverse is it's built by like a collective. There's like different, I don't want to say different subgroups, but like different roles within wax. One person can take on multiple roles, but you got your collectors, your promoters who do like the giveaways. They promote giveaways, things like that. The different gamers. A lot of people have big Twitch channels, and that seem to be pretty dedicated to wax. I'm not big on Twitch myself, but yeah, just having like whole Twitch channels dedicated to wax has to be like a big thing. Of course, you have the artists. There's like some really cool wax brands out there, especially on Twitter. Some people doing some really cool stuff on wax. So yeah, different artists, Senior Lupe, Kumas. It's a Snazzy, Cool Keith. Man, it's just a lot of really good artists. Cat Fresh, really cool artists on Wax Twitter. And then you have the governance guys, they're all about the governance of wax. The developer guys, makes the different apps and the different games. And even like the big brand guys, like I've seen Ninja Turtles on wax. Ninja Turtles, Bob Ross, Metallica, what else? Like Hey Arnold, like a lot of big brands. I've seen them on wax as well. Street Fighters, Godzilla, I think there's like I think it's like a photographer who was like maybe a photographer for Muhammad Ali, but there's like a Muhammad Ali collection on there. A lot of really big brands on wax as well. But yeah, just a really cool overall community. It's really impressive how they've built that whole metaverse and that whole system out, based around NFTs, pretty sick. Even like the DeFi and stuff, it's all like NFT based. But yeah, so wax is pretty amazing. Like I say, I'm collecting a lot of, well, not a lot, but just different projects that I see that I think they're cool, and I'm able to, I'll try to add some pieces to my collection. If it's a game and it looks fun, I'll try to grab an NFT, hop in the game, try to play some games. The Forge Arena game looks pretty sick. But yeah, definitely having fun learning the metaverse and the NFT space for sure. It's a great adventure, reminding me of kind of how when I first got started with Steam back in the day and that whole process. So I think this is something that I can grow and build long term with for sure. But question for some of the vets in the wax community, coming from a wax NFT novice, as far as whenever we get our NFTs, as far as supporting the artists and etiquette and things like that, do you all think it's more beneficial to hodl your NFTs after you purchase them, or would it be better to flip your NFTs, and so both you and the artist get paid? If the artist has like a 7% fee on all sales of their NFTs, if you flip their NFTs, it helps the artist get paid again for the work, which I would think would be a pretty cool thing. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? As far as like proper NFT, proper NFT etiquette for hodlers. But yeah, that's going to be all for this episode. Shout out to everybody in the Wax fam. All the other artists out there, all the other bloggers, everybody on Hive. Appreciate you listening. All the supporters of the Uncle Project podcast, appreciate you guys listening to this Lightning Network powered podcast. Also powered by the One Up community on Hive. I'll definitely have links in the description on how you can find the One Up community on Hive. Have links in the description there. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the show. If you're listening to this on Fountain, make a clip. Share the show with folks. Check out some blog posts in the show notes. Really, really be sure to check those show notes out. I'm going to be having some pretty cool stuff in there. I'm going to say every single episode I'm going to have some sick goodies down in the show notes. Don't want to make this too long. About to be running over my time here. So definitely follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the show. Like the show. And I'll see you all on the next Uncle Project podcast episode. Peace.